Chapter 15. Each consciousness is the best it can be. This may be one of the hardest statements in the entire book to accept. In every moment, each consciousness is the best it can be. Not in the sense of being correct, fair, or exemplary, but in the strictest and most uncomfortable sense. It could not express anything beyond what its conditions allowed at that instant. This idea unsettles us because it seems to level very different realities. It seems to place opposite attitudes on the same plane. But that discomfort comes from a recurring confusion. To understand is not to justify, and to accept is not to approve. To understand is simply to see how things actually work without unrealistic moral projections. Leo Tolstoy expressed this realization in a simple and profound way when he said, "Understanding everything means forgiving everything." Forgiving here does not mean removing limits, suspending consequences, or denying the seriousness of acts. It means abandoning the illusion that someone could have been different without anything in them being different. This point becomes especially difficult when we look at extremes: the violent, the murderer, the cruel, but also the saint, the compassionate, the just. The conclusion is harsh, but inevitable. Neither of them could have been different from what they were in that specific moment. This is not a defense of crime. It is an observation about the human condition. The violent person acts with violence because that is what exists within him at that point in his history. The saint acts with love because that is what he has available to offer. It is not a matter of free choice in the absolute sense, but of a faithful expression of what each consciousness is capable of manifesting at that stage. A popular saying captures this with unexpected precision. Each one can only give what they have. Those who have only love offer love. Those who know only hardness deliver hardness. Those who never had access to empathy cannot produce it by conscious decision. You cannot demand flowers from someone who never received seeds, nor sensitivity from someone shaped exclusively by brutality. This realization is uncomfortable and deeply transformative. When we understand that consciousness is, in a sense, imprisoned within itself, limited by what it has managed to form up to that moment, something new begins to arise, a lucid empathy. Not a naive empathy that ignores the harm done, but an empathy that understands the origin of behavior without denying the need for containment. Hatred loses part of its force when we see that no one chooses to be brutal in the same way that no one chooses to be deeply generous. Both are the result of trajectories, conditions, learnings, and limits. This does not eliminate the need to protect, contain, or impose consequences, but it does eliminate the fantasy that someone acts out of pure, freely chosen evil, as if they had internal alternatives that simply did not exist. This understanding radically changes our gaze. The question stops being, how could someone do this? And becomes, what forms someone capable of doing this? And this shift does not weaken responsibility, it makes it more intelligent. The same logic applies to ourselves. Much personal suffering arises from demanding that the past self should have acted with the consciousness that was only built later. That demand is unfair because it ignores a simple fact. In that moment, we were exactly what we were able to be. Recognizing this does not paralyze. On the contrary, it is the most honest starting point for any transformation. Only when we accept what we were do we create real space to become something different. Here, reconciliation approaches its closure. Determinism stops seeming cold and begins to reveal a profound form of compassion. Not a compassion that absolves everything, but one that understands limits, respects processes, and bets on real transformation. If each consciousness can only offer what it has, then the task of the world is not to condemn, but to create conditions so that more people have something better to offer. Education, care, fair limits, coherent consequences, and time. This is where change is born. For now, keep this demanding and liberating idea. No one acts beyond what they are able to be, and understanding that is the first step for something better to emerge.